Official figures show that wages have grown at the fastest rate in more than 20 years, so someone's having some luck. But then again, the cost of living has been rising even faster, and there's a gap between public and private sector pay. There are more strikes today. So if you feel like your income needs a boost, and really who doesn't with prices rising more than 10% in a year, keep listening and do get in touch. With me today to answer your questions are Helen Tupper, CEO of Amazing If, a career development company, Radha Vyas, CEO and co-founder of Flashpack, a travel company, and Ed Rossiter, founder and CEO of Phoenix, a recruitment agency. But let's go first to Harry, who's on the line. Harry, you are in the middle of trying to get a salary increase. How are you going about it?
Hi there, Reece. I've actually been really honest and had the conversation with my manager up front, talking about what my current situation is, the fact that I'm looking at new opportunities, and just being honest with them. The most important part, though, is it's more of an exploration of what is possible with the manager, not using it as a threat. So trying to get that balance with the conversation. So I had that conversation with them last week.
And just briefly, what is it about your situation that makes you think I need some more money?
It's probably the same as a lot of people in the country. Over the last couple of years, I think what you get from work is not just about the salary, it's the hybrid way of working, it's the work-life balance, the benefits, all of that sort of comes into equation. But with the current cost of living, the situation we find ourselves in, your salary has to be stretched further. And me personally, I've got a wedding this year. We're remortgaging later on this year as well. And I think when you see what inflation has been up to over the last 6 to 8 months, that becomes more of a priority than anything else, rightly or wrongly. So it's just having that focus on why money is important.
So what did you do? How did you have this honest conversation, as you put it?
I waited until the end of our regular one-to-one to build up the confidence of it. And then I just opened it up, saying this is how I feel like I've performed over the period of time I've been in the role. I have had a look on LinkedIn and other websites of what else is out there. There's been opportunities that have been put forward that I haven't wanted to pursue, but I started to realise where some of the industry are going with some of the salaries they're offering, and just said, this is what's currently happening outside of the business, what's possible here, and she spoke me through some of those possibilities.
So have you actually said, look, if I don't get a pay rise, I will go elsewhere, or are you just hinting heavily at this stage?
It's probably somewhere in between. I think it's really important to get the balance of your language correct. I think if you turn around and said, and I'll admit, I think probably 6-7 years ago at another company, I've done similar when I was maybe not as mature as I am now, and it can come across as like throwing your toys out the pram, and you don't want to do that because you won't get the response you need from your manager.
And what kind of response have you had?
A really positive one, really understanding the situation, also discussing some of the potential restrictions that could happen within the business, because as much as us individuals are feeling the pinch, businesses will do too, or some businesses will. So being really open and transparent about how the company is performing, and that they will have the conversation with the relevant people that they need to have the conversation with. And then let me know, and I should be finding out at the early start of next week, really, if there's any real update.
And if there isn't a pay rise for you, would you leave?
Yeah, I think I would have to start looking at the opportunities. I don't think it would be as simple as I don't get a pay rise, I will leave. It's more of if I don't get a pay rise, I will start looking at the other opportunities out there. Because the grass isn't always greener. Money isn't the most essential part, and I completely get that. But because it's such a driver right now, I would want to have a look at the market and see if there is a potential to improve my current situation. So for me, I'm going to start doing that at the start of February, because it would have then been give or take 4 weeks from the original conversation.
So, Rada, as an employer, what would you do if an employee like Harry sat down and said to you, look, I don't think I'm paid enough and I'm looking at what competitors are doing, please, can you do something? Would you look favourably upon someone giving that kind of argument?
Well, our employees don't need to have that conversation with us any longer because we have kind of moved the company to radical pay transparency. So everybody knows, everyone else's salaries and how they move up and progress within the company. In addition, we have benchmarked all our salaries against a body of 3,000 startups in London, and we re-benchmark every single year. So if, with the rise of inflation, we'll be due to give everybody a kind of pay rise in line with that and in line with 3,000 startups across London, and we know we pay very competitively. So our employees no longer have that kind of anxiety that Harry's been describing around having a kind of balanced conversation around pay. It happens automatically. When we introduced pay transparency and proper salary benchmarking last April, all of our employees got an uplift, a natural uplift in their salary between 10 and 30%.
We'll talk more in a moment about what kind of effect that policy has had. But first of all, Ed, what is the best way to approach getting a meaningful pay rise? What is has Harry gone about it well?
Hi Ruth, hi Harry and fellow guests. For the most part I agree with Harry's approach. I think he sounds like a very level-headed and logical guy. There's a couple of key points that we would always suggest when asking for a raise. I think you've got to prepare in advance, and that involves, research your typical market rate for your skill set or job title on the market. It's important that people gather data, even around their own performance and the contributions to the company over the past 12 months. And timing is important. You want to make sure you're scheduling a meeting with your manager when they're most likely to be receptive. And I think asking for a raise is a daunting task, especially if it's an unscheduled meeting. So getting that timing right is certainly important. And then be confident and professional. Now that you've researched the market and you understand that maybe there is a discrepancy between where you're being paid and where the market is paying people with similar backgrounds, you should be confident for asking that for a raise, knowing that the data is clear and the rationale for asking is pretty clear to you as well.
And Helen, I wonder what the job market looks like at the moment. If Harry were to get bad news and to turn his attention to what else is out there, is it a good time to be thinking of jumping ship if you're not getting what you want?
Well, it's interesting. Harry is not alone in his thinking. So the latest research, for example, by LinkedIn shows that 60% of Brits are in Harry's position. They're considering moving jobs, and money is a big motivator for that move. So Harry's not alone. And that point around the job market is there is growth. There is a lot of opportunity for people, but it is in particular areas. So, for example, sales, for cybersecurity is another one of those areas. Sustainability, and so I think what people do need to think about is if they want to make a move and money is a driver, where are some of these opportunity areas for growth? And there's, jobs on the rise market data that can help people to look at that. And then to really think about, well, how can I potentially transfer the talents that I've got? Because they might not be in those roles at the moment, the roles where there is the most opportunity. And so they might need to proactively develop some skills, for example, or really think about, well, how can I transfer the talents that I've got today so they're relevant in those roles where there's more areas for growth.
Okay, well, Harry, best of luck, and let us know how you get on. We'd be very interested to know. We will watch this space. Rada, you were telling us that you have created pay transparency in your company. Is that effectively what the situation is? You've got narrow pay bands, so people just know what everyone is on.
That's exactly right. So every role or job family has a very tight pay band, and effectively everybody knows the level and the pay band that everyone else is on. So the exact package is private, but you would know what banding everyone else is on, and you would know kind of what you need to do to get to the next level or to the next band.
And so you know what bands people are in, but how is this? You know, do you know within £1,000 or £2,000, say?